Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the greatest player of all time in the red, the finisher. It's Serral. Facing off against the Protoss in the purple, we have Revenant Rage. Alongside their teammate, the Terran in teal, it's Nuke Core. A series of matches to determine whether the best of us is able to take on at least two of the rest of us. And if you count yourself in that second category, be awesome. If you could also count yourself as someone who smashed that like button and maybe even subscribed. And Jimmy, what are we at? Quickly, if they're smart, they'll worker rush. 1,564 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As Serral off to a relatively standard start despite the potential danger of a double all-in. And important to consider, both the beauty and the greatest difficulty of StarCraft 2 is there is no sort of advantage loading into the game. You can't buy more units to start with or any sort of advantages. You don't get more income just because you have more experience. Serral starts with 12 drones at a time, like any other player. He puts his pants on, one leg at a time, like I assume people who go outside on a regular basis do. There is no innate advantage just because you played thousands of hours. But Serral still seems to find them one way or another. Now, I'm sure, on the other side, we've made it fair. Apparently, the players we'll see today are somewhere between Diamond 1 and Platinum 1. So, probably your average players you'd meet on the ladder. And if you combine their MMRs at, let's say around 3,500 to 4K, if you add them together, they add up to right around Serral's at 7,000. So, on paper, a fair match. Now, these matches are not played on paper. And very much so, I think we'll see that, especially with our heroes on the other side facing off against the finisher. A Twilight Council is on the way for Revenant Rage. It's going to be 4 gates, 4-gate blink, 4-gate charge, both strong options. Nuke Core, on the other hand, has opted for an early expand. So a bit of a split on the early strategies. Going to have the low ground base. Serral, with an Overlord in position, will spot the expansions or lack thereof. And so far, playing a relatively defensive style, sees no expansion for the Protoss. Going to see the command center landing for the Terran and the Overlord. Now, Serral recently played in Uthermal's 2v2 professional tournament. Where, unfortunately, he was knocked out by Clem's team, which seems to be a running trend nowadays, but that means he has some familiarity with 2v2 strategies, 2v2 maps. Now, the danger of scouting against Diamond players is it's hard to know necessarily what they're doing if they don't know what they're doing. But it appears Revenant Rage has quite a direct strategy with a Dark Shrine. A Shrine to Dark already on the way, and Serral going to be pushed away by Nuke Core's Marine. Moving down to the low ground, Serral actually evading the Marine for now. If he scouts, there is a proxy gate on the way as well. So if he ends up scouting... Oh, no. The second Overlord. Oh, no, this one's also on a move command. They have one job. Literally one job. Oh, no. The Overlord is going to... He's going to see the Dark Shrine, and he's going to see it as it finishes. The most important timing. This is not like it just started, you can cancel it. The Dark Shrine is done. There will be Dark Templar. And, well, the Queens are already on the ramp and hold position. Behind this, though, Nuke Core is opting for a Fusion Core. So not really living up to his name, but potentially heading towards Battle Cruisers. And I think a strong option to combine with the ground-based army of Revenant Rage. But there's 4 DTs. Susan, are you ready? I was born ready, Brenda. Oh, I like that energy. You have plenty for transfuse, right? Of course. The DT shut down the Archon. Well, an inauspicious start for our Joes as the pro player shutting him down with relative ease. A battle cruiser in production. It's going to be 2 starport battle cruiser. Unfortunately, with the DTs getting shut down, that means Serral has a lot more leeway to potentially build up his economy. He has no idea about the battlecruisers on the way. And this is exactly how I think you need to play this. One player goes for something that requires a direct and overwhelming response, while the other one tries to work around that response. So here, the roaches are already on the way across. 2 battlecruisers halfway done, but the roaches are making their way. Even the queen's stoically marching down the ramp and going to drop some creep tumors off the Overlord creep drop. Relatively rare nowadays. And the Roach Ravager is going to be hitting before the battlecruisers arrive on the field. Serral will be able to get some economic damage done. He's only got 44 drones back at home, which is not a booming economy by any means. He has to get some damage here. We'll just have to see how much. Hellions are pulled off. Neither non-charge lots nor Hellions a good counter at all to the Roaches and Ravagers, but battlecruisers are a bit stronger. Fires off a wave of corrosive bile. He's going to knock out some of the stalkers before they can even finish warping in. A world of disgusting fire with the corrosive biles, but the battlecruiser strafing across. Now, should he stay to defend the Roaches or should he go? He jumps across the map, and there's no spore crawl. How many queens? Only 4 queens. The battlecruisers will have Yamato cannon momentarily, and it requires an overwhelming response to deal with these cruisers, and the spore crawler is whelming at best. The Roaches and Ravagers are still getting damage done on the other side. Trying to get up the ramp. The wall off will stop him for a moment, but Mr. Zergachev, tear down this wall. And the DTs are slicing through. Is there an overseer? There is. So be able to clean up the DTs, just going for the starports in general. The battlecruisers line up the Yamato cannons and will obliterate half the queens, strafing down the others. Another one pops out. 2, the battlecruisers badly bruised, but still intact. Tactical jump still about 30 seconds out. The Roach Ravager, he killed both starports, which is probably the most direct way to prevent continued battlecruiser production. The Roaches and Ravagers are still grinding through, and Immortal, now vulnerable, will be taken down, and the Roaches and Ravagers are still going to work. Tactical jump, 10 seconds out. SCV, job's finished. No, it isn't. SCV's on a mandated break as they get drawn to the corner, scatter some corrosive biles towards the mineral line. The battlecruisers have tactical jump ready and might be able to make it back home. A few charge lots come in. We'll slice up a couple more roaches, but the Ravagers are still terrorizing the base. That one roach, it has, I believe, 6 or 7 kills right before it died. 34 SCVs remain, 25 probes. Serral's only had 42 drones. The battlecruisers did a lot of damage. 14 kills, 15 kills. This one, El Capitan. But fires up, oh no. And knocks out a cruiser with the Ravager. You have one job. Well, you have several jobs, but there's one most important one. Gonna fire it off again. Cruiser slowly glides off, slowly drifts to the left and avoids the corrosive bile, but Serral still making a mountain out of a molehill so far. The DT will deal with it. Yamato cannon used to knock out one of the roaches. Living up to their name. That DT, I believe the Overseer, no, it just flew off into the sunset, so DTs will eventually clean this up. Hellions combining as well. Fires off one for the road. And now, where does that leave us? Changeling taken down. The SCVs are still hanging out in the corner. 2 more starports on the way. As Nuke Corps has money, but no real ability to produce. Right now only has a reactor factory. Revenant Rage down to 16 probes, so not exactly a booming economy. Well, really across the board, but Serral's going to opt for a Spire to directly deal with potential battlecruisers, and Roaches with Burrow. Does he have roach speed done? He does. Burrow move as well. So going to try to exploit his admittedly somewhat high APM, especially compared to our heroes. 415 to be more stalwart, 100 and 141 apiece. But I think a strong choice. Unfortunately, the first DTs getting completely shut down is what opened up the opportunity for Serral to do a big counterattack with a little better coordination. If the DTs waited until the battlecruisers were ready, I don't know if Serral can actually deal with it. Though, of course, he's going to build up so quickly. And when you're playing the game yourself, it feels like things are happening so fast. But you're watching these players and you say, well, why didn't they have more stuff? Well, believe it or not, this Serral guy is pretty good at building things quickly. And I think we're going to see that on a regular basis here in these matches, that the game is much more about real time than strategy. You must be fast enough to keep up. And once you do so, you can decide what to do in that position. But the battle cruisers require a strong response, and so far Serral has gotten a little lucky with the Ravagers actually able to take out one. And the cruisers flying into the spores and minimizing their already high amounts of damage. But Mutas are on the way. The proxy gateway still being chewed up by a single hungry roach. The burrow move roaches. There's using the winter announcer pack, strong choice. Though I approve, but I do not approve of the lack of response to the Mutas. Your base is under attack. Yamato cannons online. Burrow move roaches popping up in both bases for the Terran. The Mutas still sharking around. And Nuke Corps very much struggling to deal with this. The worker count 15 and 19 respectively. Serral has 73 drones. So, the battle cruisers will take a short hop into Revenant Rage's base. Oh no, the orbital command also under fire. Chasing down the roaches. There's no observers. The scans are really the only option. And playing Whack-A-Roach is not going to be a great long-term option. No! No! Stop it! Archon out of frustration attacking its fellow Archon. But the Muta's still going to work. The combined supply is just barely over 100 for our heroes. Whereas Serral is looking nearly maxed out. He recovered so quickly from the damage dealt compared to the heroes on the other side without nearly as much of a focus. So they have this big attack. It is a strong one. SCVs and a bunch of battlecruisers with Yamato cannon. There will be some Immortals and Archons if they actually... Yes, they're coming across the map. Immortals, Archons, and Charge Launch. The CIA build. A dangerous one indeed. And there's a dream. It's just Corruptors, Roaches, and Mutas. Archons and battlecruisers are quite an answer to this. Though the Corruptors are going to knock down a battlecruiser before they can really return fire. Lines up the Yamato cannons, another one bites the dust. The Archons underneath, the Immortals trying to blast through. But the Corruptors may be able to take the battlecruisers out of the sky before the Archons can do enough to help. GG! Serral will defeat Revenant Rage and Nuke Corps in game number 1. The Zerg, overrunning both the Protoss and the Terran, throws out a GGWP, and Serral will open up the scoring with 1. Starting to think this Serral guy is pretty good. A little better coordination. And honestly, I think they had potential there. It was close for at least a few moments. But losing all the DTs right off the bat, it's hard to know exactly how much you're going to get done. I think in a lot of 2v2s, you'll see players just send the DTs and you have plenty of time. Because in the Diamond League, players will see the DTs, defend the DTs, and then spend 2 more minutes also defending the DTs. Because DTs are scary and very annoying to deal with. Whereas Serral's like, they're done, there's no economy behind, I attack. And the battlecruiser's exploiting the lack of anything at home, but Serral understanding that the best defense oftentimes is a great offense. And even though he's one of the best defensive players, just going across the map and trying to kill him was a much more effective strategy. Alright. Well, now we have Revenant Rage once again in the Teal's Protoss, and our first Zerg. Gree Empire asking, are you ready? Here I come. At the exact timing, you'd finish a 12 pool. Serral with a strong response, which is none at all. Honestly, not sure how you'd respond to that. You say yes, maybe? No? It was kind of a yes or no question, but it also felt kind of rhetorical. As a bold move for someone who probably learned the majority of what they know as Zerg from the person across the map right now. to make such statements. Serral doing the same thing he did against Raynor in that match recently when Raynor was chatting him up, which is deciding, we'll let them talk while he takes action. I'm interested to see how another... If Green Empire... Not Green Empire. Gree Empire. I don't know if he ran out of characters or he has too much character, but either way. Gree Empire. If he can get kind of close to Serral's unit count and Revenant Rage has any sort of Protoss army, that's the thing about Zerg in team games, is, well, usually Zergs have to be a little careful about how they expand, as creep spread can potentially get in the way of your teammates' bases. It works for your opponent's units. Now, Serral, of course, is playing with only himself here, which opens up different opportunities. You don't have to worry too much about what other people care about, which has its advantages. And partially the fact that Serral can get 2 bases for relatively free early on, I think is actually an advantage for him, even over playing 2v2. Of course, if any of our heroes can survive to 400 supply, even Serral, I think, will struggle. It matters what that 400 supply is, but so far, not even remotely close to it. Honestly, I think I'd settle for having more than 200 combined. The queen just... Oh. Pokes away. Zealot. Back to the wall. There's a Baneling nest in production for Empire, who expanded down to the low ground. He left open a base here. I'm not sure if the creep actually blocks. So, unfortunately, when Hatchery Creep was buffed a year or 2 ago for 1v1, Hatchery Creep is now 1 more range out, which was to make it a little bit easier to wall off a Zerg reliably against certain strategies. That had the effect of breaking some 2v2 maps, because the creep then extends and potentially blocks other bases. And creep's creep. Interesting 2-drone timing attack coming across the map. There's another drone. Quite a... Yeah, the Spine Crawler rush is a bit optimistic. Totally not a misclick. The Zerglings nibbling on the Nexus. As Banelings morphing nearby. Revenant Rage just expanded to the low ground. Didn't opt for that more open base. I don't know, trying to hide this base maybe from Serral. I doubt it. Feels like there's a bit of a miscommunication there. But the Zerglings will get in. What's the worker count? Serral at 41, 29 and 28 apiece on the other side. And unfortunately in SC2, there's never been distinguishing between your creep and opponent's creep. The reason you can build on creep and co-op is the AI is hard-coded not to cannon rush you on your own creep. But the same rules still apply. And it's just, you're allowed to build on creep and co-op. But unfortunately in 2v2, it's always been the red-headed stepchild. Kind of the forgotten mode that also exists, but never really got the attention and love that it maybe should have or could have. Zerglings. Wrap it on. Terran, you stay in front. It's all right. You got this. Oh no, she lived. What was that? I mean, great job out there. Oh, we're gonna hear about this at the next hatchery owner associate. Yeah. She never shut. What? You're not my supervisor. I know. You can't overlord this over me. Sorry, I blacked out for a moment, but Serral defending the early aggression, darting back in towards the third, and gonna rip apart the... Oh no! More probes of Revenant Rage going to be slaughtered by Serral. There are Adepts. Yep. The Adepts ring around the rosy there. Will be able to shade out past the natural. More Zerglings will find another base. Empire gonna expand to a 4th hatchery at the 3rd base location. Serral at 56 drones, but Empire at 50. So a comparable economy, which is... We're walking. really the best they could hope for at this stage. Serral with some Zerglings out there looking for an opportunity. I don't know if I mentioned it, but we're using the default observer interface because all our fancy ones are designed for 1v1. But I'm looking forward to more alternative sort of game styles. Game mode, stuff like this. And, by the way, I also don't know if I'm obviously suffering from short-term memory loss, but this is from the Freedom Star League, named after KJ Freedom, the manager of Storm Gaming, also the team of MaxPax. And if you want to play in matches like this, maybe not against Serral, but against pros and other fun matches where you might have a chance, then make sure to check out the Discord in the description, Jimmy. Join the FSL Discord and check it out, and maybe you can do a 6-drone rush against Serral in the middle of the map at the 7-minute mark for no discernible reason. Clearly not stressed out at all. Well, Serral is at 157 supply, 99 for Empire, 77 for Revenant Rage. But it is just roaches. He's going to have 1-1 Infestation Pit is on the way. Now, if the Immortals, Archons, and Roaches of Empire... Wait, does he have Roaches? He does, somewhere. In production right now. Together. Serral drawing the attention away over to the right flank, and all of the armies from both sides are moving down. The most... just an absolutely masterful bait from the man himself, and Serral just crashes through. The Immortal... Oh, no. Well... The battle looks like it's almost lost before it begins. Empire coming down with the Queens. Another Immortal caught out in front will be killed first. And now the Roaches and Ravagers are coming down, but Serral has 1-1 against 0-0, and he has more Roaches and Ravagers. The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster. The Queens will be chewed up by the Roaches. The corrosive bile spray across, blast apart a Ravager. Some Zealots are warped in, and Serral just smacks him across the face with a direct attack. The Roaches and Ravagers overrun it. There's not remotely close to enough. There's more one-sided than a Mobius strip right now. Serral holds with comfortable ease. Holds and also just crushes both armies one by one. That little bait over to the side. GGWP. Empire taps out. Looks like Revenant Rage. Well, there's a couple Archon. No. Yeah, that's how we expected it to go. Serral crushes through and puts another one on the board. Alright, we're going into Rascalion, the most fancy-sounding map of the 2v2 map pool. And, ooh, a new matchup. War Bunnies is hopping into the battle alongside Nuke Corps, who's back as Terran. And, of course, Serral on the other side. Needs no introduction, but I gotta justify my presence here somehow. Like and subscribe. We haven't yet seen any sort of real committed two-player attack. There was the disjointed actions in Game 1. Game 2, had the half-hearted attempt at some adepts, I guess, but... Now, on paper, you could just work a rush. If both players pulled all but 1 or 2 workers, it would be enough workers to potentially A-move and just win. But if you've seen my series of drone rushing to Masters, you'll know that it's not that easy. And I don't know if there are any rules against it, or if you just don't want to be the people who worker rush Serral to get a technical victory. But even then, it's going to be embarrassing if you fail. So I think it's a combination of not wanting to take the risk of failing and to not being a dick about it. And also, credit to Serral, I don't think there are any prizes or anything on the line, or if they are, they pale in comparison to Serral's plethora of trophies. But there's a lot to lose here for Serral, and very little to gain. Like, meeting up on some diamond players is, even now, feels almost like smurfing. But if he loses, well, do you think any of these players will miss an opportunity to bring that up? I mean, Serral loses a single game to a top-tier player like Clemmer Magspacks, and that's a topic of conversation. Imagine losing to War Bunnies. Sorry, War Bunnies. Hard wall off. The Overlord will spot all of it. There's a couple depots in the way, but it's just going to be a double expand from our heroes. There's a Stargate in production in the main. Strong choice, especially with the hard wall off. Serral will see all of this and get his third hatchery. A Reaper. The Reaper micro is existent. Taking a poke around. Yeah. Leaves one grenade for him. And pops on down. Overlord will spot the Stargate. And just kind of hanging out, as it does. It's kind of its whole job, but... the classic chrono boost for emotional support as opposed to actually building any probes. Meanwhile, Void Ray in production. Serral gonna come back around for another pass. He's gonna... Is he going to spot the Void Ray? Yes, he is. Yep, sees the Void Ray. And the Marines, of course, which actually gives away a bit more info as well. Stalker. Gas guys are on the low ground. Of course, you have to go to the eternal question of, do they have a plan, or are they just filling in things as they remember them? But I think Serral hedging his bets, trying to figure out whether he has the space to get 60, 70, or 80 drones, really, early on. And honestly, the difference is dramatic, but it doesn't take much time to go between them. The Reaper! He hunted down by the Zerglings, ripped apart, and now pretty much all the units will be stuck in the base, besides the single Void Ray, who guards the front. Siege tank. It's going to be a Marine tank built out of nuke core. Even double engineering bay in production. Lair started for Serral, who's up to 46 drones and counting. It's starting to really exponentially grow at this stage. Third command center on the way for nuke core. And +1 air weapons. Second Stargate completing. A mass Void Ray composition. It's an old build, but it certainly checks out. Third Nexus in production. One of the reasons I hate this map in 2v2, not just dislike, I hate it, because the indicator is off. Not only does it have an indicator for where you're supposed to place your base, it's in the wrong spot. I have lost hundreds of minerals canceling bases because my brain reflexively says, well, the indicator's up. No! It's just like a little offset, and this map has been in the pool for off and on for like 3-4 years. And you just have to remember, it's not your eyes that are wrong, it's the map. Because the intern hates you. That's why. It's a science fact right there. And now, you can't unsee it either. Aspire. And it looks like Mass Muta is back on the menu. Serral probably going to be leaning on his admittedly higher APM. War Bunnies rocket out at nearly as much as a pocket watch, whereas Nuke Core doubled that. Serral at a casual 410 APM. Though Mutas, I think, are going to poke that up a little further. Hey, my life for... Changeling slaughtered by the cannons at the front. How much Serral has over 1,000 gas in the bank as the Spire completes, which means not much of a Muta risk here, but instead a strong choice against a set of players who have absolutely no idea it's coming. There is a fleet beacon in production, so calling to the Skytoss Armada for aid. But War Bunny still doesn't realize the mutas are on the way. Phoenix range is the hardest possible counter to mutas of a unit that can still technically be hit by them, but you have to know they're coming first to make use of it. The Void Ray count is at 4. Void Ray is not great against mutas, but it's a numbers game. First mutas flapping their way out. Void Ray chasing down an Overseer. There's nothing in the main base for Nuke Core. He has 29 Marines. Did he? He did not get Combat Shield. Not that that's going to help much, because there's nothing at all. The mutas will hit the SCVs. A dozen of them going to be taken down right off the bat. The rest on the run for the natural, but Serral already gutting the economy. The rest of the army coming back. Flux Veins is on the way for the Void Rays, which I guess with this many Void Rays on the field, but Serral will take out one. The Oracle is getting up close and personal. Unfortunately, unable to headbutt the mutas to death as the turret count skyrockets, but unfortunately they won't complete, which means no rockets will be hitting the sky. Gonna target down another Oracle. Void Ray taken out. Mules dropped in the main will be targeted down immediately by Serral. The Void Ray's trying to respond. Fluxbane's halfway done. There's a carrier in production, but it's far from arriving. And Serral is just slicing his way through the bases. A buffet table of worker kills. Nuke Core down to 47 SCVs. Honestly, still pretty healthy, considering how much damage the mutas did. Probs gonna be taken down. Flies right over the cannons. As Serral also microing a second group of Mutalisks. 4:20 APM now as he blazes a trail through the mineral lines. The Zerglings overrunning. There's no ground army in response. The mutas chase down, or the mutas drag the Marines out of position. The tanks are caught at the ends of the earth. The SCVs will be able to mine a little longer at the third base, but the natural is completely vulnerable. The SCVs, Void Rays with Flux Veins, gonna target down another one. +1 flyer attack is done for Serral. And the Stalkers and Void Rays are a poor answer, literally and figuratively, to the mass Mutalist. He needs Phoenixes, and he needs a Terran player who's awake and able to hit those stims, though maybe the opposite order would help out more. Serral also has Bane speed done. He's effectively maxed out at around 9 minutes with mass mutiling 84 drones. His opponents had 200 supply combined, but Serral's done a great job of isolating them and potentially taking them out. The Marines, they do have 1-1. Tucks into the corner, going to take down some of the siege tanks, but the Marines, against no Banelings, going to hold the line for now. Serral actually driven back. Another fight or two like that, and there might be an opportunity to counter across the map. Serral takes out another couple of turrets. The SCV is just having it's an incredibly hazardous working environment. The carrier has arrived and been sent into the unit's lost tab. The turrets are no match. He has more than enough mutas to just take them out. He's just going for the command center, which it's burning. The SCVs are pulled to repair, and he'll save it for now. One volley away, but Serral doesn't want to lose more mutas than the command center costs in minerals. He's holding. Comes around for another pass. The mutas just gutting the turrets. The cannons are no match either. The carrier's on their own, and he's just running them around like flying circles around our heroes. Another set of turrets will be canceled before it can even complete. The StarCraft ghost of turrets. And another command center, this time taken down. And the Baneling's ready to roll in. And it's Nuke Core's opportunity to show us the splits of a lifetime. Otherwise, the time of his life will be very short. The Marines kiting back, a bit of stutter step, running behind the mineral line, but he's running out of real estate. and the banelings close in, the Marines melt away, and Serral just obliterates the entire army. He'll find the stalkers, he'll kill them too. A single Phoenix comes out. It's almost worse that he made Eddie at this point, as it's far too little and immensely late. Oh no, a disaster for the Joes, as Nuke Corps will lose yet another base. He's down to 33 SCVs. Serral is still maxed out with another wave of mutas targeting down tanks in a single volley. Always excited. He has 33 mutalisks. Finally, we get to see him use, though not exactly the scenario I expected. The mass muta. Just running him around and easily taking him down. Serral finding more success yet again, and that's going to be 3. Well, a decisive victory. They tried to macro it out, but Serral, he just hit that critical mass before it seemed like they had any response. I think the answer has to be the early attacks. Again, the comparison here is a bit unfair to our average Joes, our diamond players, as Serral is just literally the best in the world, especially at Zerg, at putting enough units on the field to be competitive. And it's such an exponential curve with StarCraft too, on how quickly you can build. But now, a matchup that Zerg players have been struggling with in general, especially recently, even Serral. Zerg versus Protoss, and now with double the Protoss, we've got War Bunnies alongside Revenant Rage, a full Protoss complement against Serral Zerg in the top left corner. And it looks like both players opting for an early wall off. Gonna limit the options here on Emerald City. Probably our most well-liked 2v2 map that most players who play 2v2 at all have the most experience on. It's gonna be a 2-gate, isn't it? That probe hanging out, blending in with the foliage, and then slapping a gateway on top with no regard for the environmental consequences. 2 gates out of War Bunnies. Yeah, it's War Bunnies. Multiple bunnies. Not just one bunny. I wasn't sure for a moment. Important to note. Macro-oriented bunnies. Then again, that's kind of how bunnies work as well, I think. Cyber Core's on the way, and 2 gates for Revenant Rage. We're going to have a double-double, a 4-gate opener from the Protoss, and here we go. Looks like the Joes are cooking up an early pressure that, honestly, 2-gate Adept in general is kind of difficult for Zerg to deal with unless they already preempt it with Zerglings. Serral will spot this, but there's nothing he can do to make his Zergling speed any faster at this stage in the game. He's already got the mining and gas. It will be a hatch first into speed as he pulls off of gas with exactly 100. Gets the Zergling speed at that exact moment. Literally the most optimized maximum minerals while still getting that key early tech. I don't think we've seen either any of the teams either trading resources or sharing control of units either, which has its ups and downs. The sharing resources is more of a high-level strategy in top-level 2v2, like your Team Clem versus Team Max Pack sort of games. Oh my, could you move? Overlord looks like it'll get away because the Zealot of Revenant Rage was doing its job too well and blocked out the Stalker, so Serral will survive. But Mass Phoenix for Protoss, and then your teammate, whatever race they're playing, usually sends you gas and builds more mineral-heavy units. In fact, it's a strategy that's so strong that Uthermal nerfed it in his professional 2v2 tourney and created a mod where there's effectively a longer time before you can trade resources. Because those kind of boosted max Mass Phoenix builds are so strong. Now, Mass Phoenixes are very good with players who can actively control them. So maybe not as effective here, but having a teammate who has a ground army to cover for him while picking away at the economy is kind of well accepted to be the optimal strategy at the moment. Like an advanced version of PvP Phoenix Wars is where we've settled. But here, so far, Serral, honestly, just kind of, it's a little infuriating that Serral's gotten away with doing only slight variations on pretty much a standard macro, like 3 hatch into Zerglings, and then maybe roaches or lair. There's not a lot of variety options for Zerg in the early game. He's gonna have to try to figure out how to deal with the Stalker Zealot timing. Revenant Rage with charge on the way. The Overlord gonna come and spot the Twilight Council upgrading. And already spotted all these units on the way across the map. Serral putting together the backbone of his defense. Spine Crawler in position. 24 Zerglings. Another Spine. This is a lot of Protoss. The combined Protoss supply at nearly 100. The target fire? Well, the Spine Crawlers will go untouched for now. The Zerglings are actually dragging the Zealots out of position and buying himself a lot of time here. The Stalker's coming up. Disjointed. The Zealots out in the midst of everything. The Stalker's on their own. The Queen's gonna hold for now. Pulling back. Still alive. All of them so far. Couple Zealots out of the front. Spore Crawler also getting involved just in case of DTs. Down goes one Spine Crawler. The Queen still holding. Drones. The Zerglings overrunning. And Serral faced with a double Protoss timing attack. Dismantles it. He drags the units away. The Spine, what a save! The Spine Crawler uproots and gets away at the last second. And the disjointed timing. The Zerglings will clean up the last Zealots. And the heroes were so close to a devastating attack, but you give Serral another 30 seconds. Well, Serral got himself another 30 seconds. Let's be clear here. But those extra 30 seconds allowed the Spine Crawlers to complete. The Stalkers were caught out of position. The Zealots were way too late coming into the attack. And the end result is a decisive victory in that engagement for Serral, who now, he actually cut a lot of drones there. Revenant Rage at 38 probes to 39 drones. Zergling's going to try to break through the gateway wall. The Stalkers can easily fire behind. And this was a one-base attack from more bunnies. So very little economy behind. Fully committed there. Now there is a Templar Archives and some Archons on the way. And potentially strong follow-up. War Bunny's also going for the Twilight Council. And I gotta say, I'm not huge on that. Because Serral's already countering the strong ground army out of Protoss. And Twilight Council has pretty much no option except to build a ground army. I think it might be the time to add in the Stargate or a Robo here. Instead of building kind of a worse version of the same units that your teammate is building. Though, again, it's a numbers game. If they're able to put enough out there, then even Serral can crumble. Warp Prism trying to warp in, but the Queen's politely yet firmly will ask it to leave. Already taking some hull damage here as the Queens amble out. Already in the yellow. Zerglings poking up, making sure there's still anything out there. +1 attack is on the way. There's a couple forges. A Revenant Rage, a Robo Bay, and another 2 more. Really putting the 4 in forges. Clearly, he cancels them, he realized, but wow. So Robo Bay on the way. Storm is about to complete. Serral, on the other hand, Hive. And oh my god, the Spine! You get him, Spencer. Do we have to have alliteration for all the names? No, but it's more fun that way. Spine Crawler tucks itself. Serral always loves those little back corners because if the Zealots, well, charge lots usually will come in, and putting the Spine Crawler in that back corner can easily funnel them on those edge minerals. So little details like that are how Serral gets that efficiency that allows him to beat And details like that make me think Hero designed your wall. The Archons, while they can slip through, the pylon was actually choking him off just a little bit too much. And can't get out of the base. Is that Adept Glaives? Now that is certainly a unique choice at this stage for War Bunnies. Not convinced Adept Glaives is going to have the return that he might be looking for. Adepts just... they really don't have much of a place in the later game. They don't have the range or maneuverability of Stalkers. They die to the same things as charge lots, so... Adepts are just... and they cost gas. That's why Adepts usually have an expiration date, which is after sacrificing them to kill as many drones. You're allowed to go over 16 workers! Let me be clear. You could go over 16 workers. Just because it turns... I've always said it should turn yellow until 24. So for those who don't know, 16 workers is 2 workers per mineral patch, if you have 8 patches, which is the most efficient. Everybody's working, nobody's waiting around. But technically, it's better than long-distance mining to go up to 24 workers, or 3 per patch. Yes, there will be some downtime while probes wait for an opportunity to take a lick of those tasty minerals, but it is much better than losing probes long-distance mining at a base that is far from completed. That is definitely the case. Revenant Rage. Not quite responding. War Bunnies is off to the north side. The half and half wall off. There's a recall. Well, the Observer. Definitely going to be important. A bunch of lurkers on the field. Serral is maxed out. 200 supply if you combine both the Protoss. The Colossus, not exactly... you're not an Observer. Oh, the Colossus tumbles. And now, War Bunny's trying to engage from the north. Good storm on the ramp. As Serral... well, this is... the lurkers do have rage completed. No part of this army is going to have an easy time engaging down a tiny choke point into the lurker spines of death. But it looks like they're going to try anyways. Thankfully, Serral will take down the Cyber Core, which makes things a little bit easier. War Bunnies, with what army remains, going to be eviscerated before it even gets down the ramp. And Serral rips apart both Protoss simultaneously. And we'll take 4 in a row. That leaves us with just one more game. So far, Serral, not even particularly close. I think game 1 has been the only game where it felt like there was a moment. This previous game here in Emerald City, there was a chance, okay? There was enough army supply out there to do some real damage. I don't know if Serral dies, but Serral just masterfully dragged away the Zealots, and all it takes is a few seconds. Serral's used to playing a game where 3 seconds matter. 30 seconds is an eternity at this level. But looks like these players will have a little more. The final combination. War Bunnies alongside Gree Empire. And again, thank you to the FSL. Make sure to check out that Discord. Jimmy, make sure it's not hard. You just copy and paste. Sorry. Thank you to Drickit and KJ for sending along the games, and of course Serral for participating. It's always very cool of him to participate in things like this. Absolutely no obligation to do so. Though so far it does seem like he's treated it as an advanced ladder game, and he's finding success. Obviously he wants to win, but definitely going for the high percentage plays. I don't think he can help it. I think he just understands situations so well, and he figures them out so quickly that he can't help but make the right calls. Okay, it would take an entire rewiring of his brain to turn that off and, you know, like neural parasite a probe and beat them with Protoss or something. Please. I don't want to... I want to preempt some of the commentary as well. Like, these are diamond players. I mean, if I had to guess, I think War Bunnies might be our platinum player in the mix here. Sorry, War Bunnies. Getting thrown under the bus today. But the Crucible. But when compared with Serral, okay, anyone's going to look less competent, less effective. We're so used to seeing the bleeding edge, the very top tier. And also, I think a lot of it, I remember I played in MLG back when they had good games. I remember I played against Bomber. You may, the one that Scarlet used the Bane Bombs against. Didn't work for me. Bomber built Mass Marine. I was near Grandmaster Zerg at the time. Bomber built like 3-4 command centers. This is like Wings of Liberty. Heart of the Swarm, maybe. 3-4 command centers. Mass Marine with, like, I don't even think there were medevacs against me, who's pretty good, competent player. But for some reason in my brain, in these situations, I'm like, let's try a 2-base Hydra all-in. Never done a 2-base Hydra all-in before in my life. Like, it's not a build I've practiced or prepared for. But I decided 2 games in a row, let's do a 2-base Hydra all-in against Terran. And even though Bomber doing the greediest build you could possibly do at the time, held it with ease. Because I'm like, oh my god, I'm playing against Bomber. Which, statistically, I had little chance of winning. But it was a non-zero one. But I certainly didn't help myself by freaking out just because I was playing against Bomber. And I think Serral is almost a mythical status at this point. Like, seeing him in the game must be a certainly an intimidating part, even if you have a teammate. At this point, clearly doesn't make it much easier. But Empire trying an all-out Ling Bane attack. War Bunnies opting for an Oracle. Serral's up to 34 drones. War Bunnies actually has 40 probes. Serral does not have a Roach one, nor a Baneling nest. He's getting a lair. Empire is actually hiding the Zerglings at the back of his base. Serral not quite aware of the potential danger he's in. And this has a real potential to do serious damage to, well, Serral in general. It's 31 to 10 drones. It's the Queens on the front line. A Spine Crow is on the way. Serral realizing some of the Zerglings going to get cut off, trying to drag him away, but Empire splitting off just a few Lings, not going to be distracted, learning from the mistakes of his peers. And Banelings are already on the way. The Queens holding the line. The Zergling surround is good, but 5 Queens. Hold! All right, Brandine. Oh, the Banelings are coming in. The Queens with great target fire. The Transfuse holding. Another Baneling down. A couple more coming around the corner. The Zerglings will dodge out. One more Baneling. Oh, but Serral! He leans into it just a bit. The Queens are overrun. And all on his own. Green Empire is cutting through Serral's defenses. He has no units. He has no Queens. He has no Zerglings. There's also an Oracle here. War Buddies is participating in the group activity. He's going to lose the Oracle to a single Spore Crawler, but he was here. As Green Empire, Serral down to 22 drones. Queens popping out, but with more Zerglings streaming across the map and the fact that the Protoss still exists. In fact, he has 50 probes. I think they've done it. Even gods can bleed. The Queen overrun. GG. Serral taps it out. And almost single-handedly, Green Empire is able to attain victory. Now, the fact that War Bunnies was in the game was important. I don't think Serral in a 1v1 in ZVZ decides, I'm just not going to make a Bane Nest or a Roach one. We have plenty of examples showing that's not the case. But the point is, finally, one of our players, he said, are you ready? Serral never responded. And it took 2 games. But apparently Serral was not quite ready. And the fact that War Bunnies was in the game meant Serral was cutting corners. And this time he cut a little too hard. And he gets cut down by the Zerglings and Banelings. Green Empire gets a victory that he can talk about for probably the rest of his StarCraft 2 career. And a worthy one at that, a strong choice, good execution, and good games for the fans. Serral can be beaten. And now, maybe next time, you will know a strategy to do it. Make sure to check out the FSL and maybe participate in some games yourself with the link to the Discord below. And if you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons, Big Jiggy Door, Cape Mario, and for bringing in the extra minerals. And thank you for watching. I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. But good luck. Have fun. I hope I made your day a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.